A lot to go over in tonight's video. We have NHL playoffs, we also have an esports protected, and we have the Euros all to go over. First, let's recap last night's picks. We came real close last night. This was actually the only soccer pick I missed last night. I believe I put about 9. I went 8-1, and this one was gonna cash. Unfortunately, got pulled a bit too early around the 64th minute. And in soccer, once you get subbed off, you do not get back on the pitch. So they were up 3-0, I believe, when he got subbed off. It's just normal for a striker. Gunn did end up going over his goalie saves, and Havertz would have probably went over had he played another 10 minutes. Tatum, third time I take this prop, does not cash, unfortunate on that, but the NBA props actually went 2-2. Also said to take his steals and blocks, which did cash, and there was also Kyrie Irving under 2.5 3 points made that did cash, and then of course the two MLB picks both cash, Chris here and Louis under strikeouts both hit respectively. The stack on Germany, Rudiger and Kimmich hit very nicely. They both cleared about 7 passes over, and I said how important each pass is going to matter, so you definitely want to be checking the value on the sportsbook. Now this Kyrie on the offensive rebounds prop, honestly I thought it was going to cash. It was looking pretty decent, but like I said, one offensive board is all it takes to kind of chalk this, and that's exactly what happened. So overall, pretty decent day. Unfortunately, we put Kyrie Irving's under offensive rebounds instead of his under 3s. That would have cashed to 4 for 4, but it is what it is. We'll get onto the board. I have some 4 powers for you. So let's start it over in the NHL. You already know what I'm going to be doing in this game if you're watching the video. Yes, I'm still going to go with Stuart Skinner and Bob under over goals allowed in the first 10 minutes. Did not hit the last 2 games, but overall, this is always the correct play. Yes, there's a bit less juice than there was in the previous days. Normally, it was like opening up like minus 160. Now it's all the way down to minus 140, but minus 140 plus 100 is still a great prop, especially when you're taking the over here. It's about a 54-55% chance that goes over. Now, it gets amplified when we stack up these next props. Tonight, normally I like to take some assist props or some points props, but as you can see, there's absolutely not 1 point prop on the board right now. I would like to take Connor McDavid, but they're being stingy right now. Prizepicks, he should be a normal prop. They're giving him as a goblin prop, so I'm not going to take that because we're going to get a massive payout nerf. So I can't go with that, and I don't like Barkov's assist because if we go and check the juice on that, very heavy juice towards the under, minus 130 on both BetMGM and DraftKings and some other sportsbooks, so I don't want to go against the juice. But what we could do to still correlate this with the goals allowed in the first 10 minutes is we could take shots, right? If people are taking shots, it means it's more likely to score because you need to take a shot to score. So let's go over the shots on goal. The good play here is Connor McDavid, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do instead of his over 3.5 shots on goal. There is a better prop that I like that involves him, so I'm not going to take this one. There's also Lundell that I will be taking on his over 1.5 shots on goal. Let's take a look at this one on props.cash. If we go over to Lundell and grab his shots on goals, you're going to see juice towards the over up at minus 125. Now that's on DraftKings, but Caesars also has a minus 133. BetMGM has a minus 130. And although he has not cashed this in this series yet, I'm still liking it at that 1.5 mark. And I also showed you guys the last time we took him that when he is getting those 2 shots, 2, 3, 4 shots, he is more likely to score. Of course, it only makes sense. If you're taking more shots, you are more likely to score. Don't really have to explain that one. So if he does clear his over shots on goal, higher probability that he scores, and higher probability that he scores within that first 10 minutes. Now we're also going to go to shots on goal combo and take this one. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Connor McDavid and Carter Verhaeghe under over 6.5 shots on goal. This is a combo prop, so together they have to get 7 shots. So if we go over to Connor McDavid, I did say the shots on goal prop was nice, and you could see right here, minus 135 juice towards the over on his 3.5, minus 145 on DraftKings, minus 135 on BetMGM. So that's a great prop on his own. And look at this game log. When he's actually clearing this prop, he's actually getting 5, 6, 5, 5, 6. He only got 4 exactly in one of these games. And in this Panther series, he has hit 6 shots and 5 shots in these 2 games, and then 3 shots, which isn't that terrible, especially when we're using it in a combo. So juice towards the over, he's a shooter, he's a scorer, he's the best player on the team, arguably the best player in the NHL, and his team is down 3-0. There's no way Connor McDavid is not going to put some extended minutes tonight, and there's no way he's not going to be taking those shots at the net. But if he fails us, we also have Carter Verhaeghe, who is set at 2.5, but he does have heavy juice towards the over. He's been averaging at least 2 shots in this series here. So you could imagine a game where he gets 2 shots and Connor McDavid gets 5. That's going to be 7 for us. Then obviously this one's a little bit of an anomaly, but he did clear 7 alone in that one time. So I am liking this. Caesars has minus 173 juice towards the over. DraftKings minus 150. BetMGM minus 160. So basically it's more likely that he gets 3 shots. Connor McDavid is more likely that he gets 4 shots. So the most realistic outcome is Verhaeghe with 3 shots, Connor McDavid with 4 shots. That's going to be the total of 7. Now both these guys are scorers, of course. You're going to see plus 160, plus 150, plus 180, plus 195 for him to score a goal. He has also scored in 4 out of 10 games. Basically, there's about a 30% chance he scores. And of course, the more shots these guys as a whole are taking, the more opportunity for those goals to be within that first 10-minute mark. Now, if you're worried about any of these guys taking shots from each other, it doesn't really matter. Like Lundell is not going to be playing with Carter Verhaeghe. They're on the same team, both playing for the Panthers, but they are not on the same line. I can go and pull up the lineups for you here, and you'll see that Verhaeghe is on the first power play unit, playing at right wing. second power play unit. Lundell is playing at the center, so they're not even on the same power play unit, and they're also not on the same main lines. Carter Verhaeghe is playing at left wing on the second line, and Lundell is playing on the third line. So these guys are not going to be stealing shots from each other or anything like that. They're not on the same power play unit. They're not on the same main line. They're completely uncorrelated when it comes to who's taking shots. So it does suck that I can't go throw an assist or a points prop, or at least I don't really want to, especially because of the juice on Barkov, as I explained. But we could go and just throw a random prop from any sport that is positive EV. If you go over to OddsJuice dashboard, check the Prizepicks board with MLB. There's some good ones here. Anything you see is a good prop to throw in. I'll take a prop that does start later. All these games start kind of early, or at least compared to when I'm uploading this video. So these 10 p.m. games here, right? Arizona versus the White Sox. We're going to go with Pedersen. On his over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs, you could see that he does have juice towards the over, minus 54.55% chance that he does go over this prop. And he is in that expected lineup right here, expected bat third, which is great to see because the guys at the top of the lineups are more likely to get those extra at-bats. Let's go over to props.cash just to compare it to some other sportsbook and show you some visuals on his graph. We're on his game log right here. He's been on a heater in the past 2, hit 9 hits, runs, and RBIs in this one, and then 6 last game that he played the White Sox. And you see minus 140 juice on DraftKings, minus 135 on MGM. That's another great prop to throw into this entry and end it off for the 4-man. For the Esports Protected, I already built it up for you guys. I don't want to get into too much detail, but if you don't know about League of Legends, you basically want to be correlating these guys within the same direction. So these guys both play for FlyQuest. We have Inspired and Masu. And the idea is in League of Legends, when a team is doing very well, they kind of snowball. So they're getting more levels, they're getting more gold, they're getting more everything, which means they're more likely to get more kills together. So we're grabbing 2 guys from the same team on the overs in that same direction. If we go over to Underdog and compare these lines, we'll take Inspired over 4.5 map on 2 kills. See that Underdog is actually nerfing the payout by 0.95x. So we are getting good value, at least compared to Underdog on that. And same thing for Masu here. He's actually set at 7.5 map 1 2 kills. We're getting him at 6.5, which is another good reason to grab the overs on these 2 respective guys. The second slate's exactly the same. Unfortunately, they're both push lines, but honestly, there's not much on the esports board, at least at the time that I'm filming this video. So we're going a wiser on his under 4 map 1 kills. If we compare this to Underdog once again, he's set at 3.5 with juice towards the under. We're getting him at 4. That is a nice prop to throw in. And then we have this other guy, Dan Cueto. On his under 4 on Prizepicks, we have him set at 3.5 on Underdog. So this is for the Esports Protected play. If you guys do have that, they're dropping it like every Saturday and Wednesday. So go and throw it on this one. It pays 9.5x. Not bad there. Now, finally, I'm going to be making a Euro/WNBA slip, and it's only going to be available until 3 p.m. because that's when these games start. So let's go over to the Euros quick. Passes attempted. You know I'm going to be on this. We hit it last night. Tonight, I want to be on Bastoni and Jorginho. We're going to grab both of their overs on their passes attempted. There is these other 2 players. You have Pellegrini and Di Lorenzo, but I do believe this is the best pairing that you could go with on the board at the moment, and I'll show you why. If we go over to the expected lineup, we have Alessandro Bastoni at the right center back and Jorginho at the left center mid. As I always say, in soccer, they're playing in triangles and they're playing in squares. So obviously these guys are very close to each other in that lineup, and they're both defensive players. These guys are also less likely to get subbed off than the offensive players, especially the center back like Bastoni's not going to get subbed off. Jorginho maybe, but these guys in the front are the most likely to get subbed off, including Pellegrini, right? That's why I'm not taking Pellegrini in this specific lineup. Even at 30.5 passes attempted, he's playing higher up the pitch. He's less likely to be getting more passes, so we want to stick with the defenders and the midfielders. Now, if you notice, Di Lorenzo is also an option at 70.5 passes attempted, and he does fit in that triangle formation, right? Bastoni, Di Lorenzo, similar to what we took last night with Kimmich and Rudiger, which did hit, but I don't like Di Lorenzo just because of his value compared to the sportsbook. If we go and check his passes attempted, he's set at 69.5 on Bet365. We have him at 70.5 on Prizepicks. I know that doesn't seem like a big difference, but we might as well go where the value is. And right now, I'd rather have an even line on Jorginho than we have on Di Lorenzo, or missing 1 pass attempted compared to the sportsbook. On top of that, I like the passes attempted props to be those who are kind of in the middle of the pitch, and that's exactly what we have with Jorginho. On Bet365, he's set at 66.5 compared to Prizepicks, where he's also at that mark. And then for Bastoni, similar concept. We're not getting any passes of value, but it's still okay at that flat rate. And the reason you want to be going on the overs in this case is, again, I don't expect these guys to get subbed off, but also these are the defending champs playing against Albania. If you know anything about soccer, I mean, Italy is way better than Albania, and you could see it reflected in the money line right here. Minus 300 towards Italy. You could kind of see a similar game to what we saw last night with Germany versus Scotland. I wouldn't be surprised if Italy scores like 3-4 goals and holds possession very nicely. So that's want to be on both these overs. Now we're going to move over to the WNBA and grab a stack. We're going with Sabrina on her under 5.5 assists. And I was going to stack it up with Jones on her under 15.5 points. Unfortunately, she got bumped as I was recording this. I did lock her in with the Discord a bit earlier at that rate, but an easy replacement for that is just her points plus assists. We're going with that under 17.5. This is obviously a stack between Sabrina and Jones. If Sabrina is going under assists, it's also more likely that Jones goes under points plus assists because because Jones is the center, she relies more heavily on assists for her points. We can kind of see this relationship in the past 5 games. Sabrina went over in games 1 and 5, and if we go over to Jonquil Jones, points plus assists, she also went over in 1 and 5. And then she kind of ran solo here on game 4. But in the past 4 to 5 games, when one went over, the other one went over, and vice versa. On top of that, the juice was looking nice. On Jonquil Jones, this was her points prop, minus 140 towards the under, despite the fact that she dropped 22 and 29 in the past 2 games. I know a lot of people might think, okay, I'm going to grab the over now, but every single sportsbook is literally telling you to under. Some of them still have her set at 14.5. We're getting at 15.5. Trying to set way too high on Prizepicks, no reason to be on that over. And same thing for the points plus assists. FanDuel has her set at 16.5. We're getting her at 17.5. Full point of value there. That is great to see. So that is going to be the 3 full slips. Good luck tonight, everyone.